Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. As you can see, Bel and I are doing things as we did, a few weeks ago we did this little virtual thing here. But regardless of that being said, it's an interesting time here. I think over the past weekend, the Seahawks technically played a game. I know it was a mock game, so it's kind of there, but it's a little odd that we've got a game next week. I mean, they go on the road to play Pittsburgh at it's not Heinz Field anymore, so I don't want to call it Heinz Field, right? But they go to the Seahawks are going to play a game, and it's August, and the Mariners are playing meaningful games. The Storm are about to, they got to finish out the regular season, but they're about to hit playoffs. The Kraken season's starting to come around. The Sounders and the Reign are still underway, so it's a very active time here in Seattle sports. The weather's been great. It's still technically summer. So with that being said, we're going to continue here into some Seahawks football with that mock game, some news regarding Pete Carroll. With that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Bel here to get us started with our gridiron news for our Seahawks. So Bel, what took place over the past week for our Seahawks?
Well, Pete Carroll, as you may know, did have to serve some days in isolation due to being diagnosed with COVID. But since then, he has returned to the team. So it's good that he has recovered, and we're glad to see him back. And as you said, the Seahawks had a mock game on Saturday. I believe the Team Blue won over Team Green 17-13. Team Blue was primarily made out of starters. The quarterbacks for the game, Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Geno Smith ended the mock game with 10 for 19 and had 94 yards. Drew Lock went 18 for 27 and had 185 yards and one touchdown. So if that gives us any clarity to how the two are standing and how that race is going, then might be a shoo-in for Drew Lock here. What do you think, Chuck?
I think, obviously the signs are good there. I know that what was interesting to me, Bel, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Geno Smith openly came out and said, with these competitions, things can get dicey. I just saw a headline about Malik Willis, and I remember Ryan Tannehill basically saying it's not my job to mentor him, which is ludicrous, ridiculous, and I hope Malik Willis gets a starting job in Tennessee because of a comment like that. But also, to go back to it, Smith basically said, I want it to be known, put it on the record that I support Drew Lock. I've got his back. So it's good to know that there's that camaraderie there, and you just hope that obviously that is genuine. I don't doubt that it is genuine. But like you said, with the numbers are good there. As we talked about since the trade from Denver, it seems like the media took it in Denver that Lock never got a true and fair shot. Pete Carroll talked about when he was at USC, when he had Carson Palmer. Carson necessarily wasn't the product that he became in the NFL. Carson Palmer had a great, extensive NFL career. But what Carroll was able to provide him with was a good defense and a strong running game. And that seems to be what they are trying to build in Seattle. I know that we look back at Charles Cross, our was a 9th overall pick.
Yes.
He's been getting starting time. Abraham Lucas on the right tackle spot out of Washington State's been getting starting time. So we're seeing this injection of youth into this team. I know, just keeping up with it, cornerbacks Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant have been active. So it seems like they're trying to put it not only on offense, but as a team, give Drew Lock the keys to the car and just give him the best support system that they can. I think that with training camp kind of coming to a close and we get more to the actual preseason games, these preseason games are the ultimate proving ground. I remember being at Russell Wilson's first home preseason game against the Titans, and he was making plays with his legs, and you think, this guy is exciting to watch. This guy's making some plays. And it wasn't necessarily against Matt Flynn, but Matt Flynn wasn't rolling out of the pocket like that, right? So preseason can ultimately be where things make or break. I think that, in my personal opinion, I think Locke will come out with the starting job.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm not going to panic if Geno Smith takes it over because he's a veteran and he's a guy that a lot of the veterans are trusted by. We looked at a few weeks ago, KJ Wright. He said, Geno Smith all the way, right? But at the end of the day, true game reps are what matters. Legendary linebacker Derek Thomas played for Kansas City for a long time. The lore goes that he didn't practice. He just came to games and dominated. He set the in-game record for most sacks by a single player with 7. I believe he would have 8 against the Seahawks but the Seahawks completed a Hail Mary to win the game after the quarterback evaded Derek Thomas. Regardless, some history for you. In-game reps are what matter.
Yeah.
So the preseason is ultimately where this proven ground is. And this is, hey, if Drew Lock's going to get the starting job, I think it starts when we begin on Saturday against the Steelers. I think this is your time to do it, right? It's your time to put all of this into action.
It's interesting when people have the take of preseason doesn't matter, we don't care to watch it. But when you're in kind of a rebuilding phase, like it feels like Seattle is, then it kind of makes or breaks who is going to fill positions. So it's interesting to see who steps up in those games. Moving on here, we do have some more training camp going on, but only 4 more sessions are open to the fans. That's August 9th, 10th, 16th, and 21st. And I believe Charles will be at one of those, so he can fill us in on some information, some takeaways that he gets from there. And then hopefully some good photos as well. And we'll move on to some league news here. On August 2nd, the Dolphins were punished for their involvement with Brady. So a few months back, it was rumored that the Dolphins were trying to target Tom Brady, and I don't think anyone took it seriously, really. But it's kind of interesting to see that it was all true. So Miami is stripped of their 2023 first-round pick for its alleged offseason communications with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Harsh punishment? What do you think?
It's really interesting because, like you said, it was like, did this really happen? I mean, they talked about Brady having ownership stake with Miami, Sean Payton leaving the Saints, which he's retired now, so still he could technically, like next year, come and join the Dolphins. Miami's got some good pieces. Obviously, Brady would be able to stay in the state of Florida. It's interesting. It's really interesting. But I would have to think for the NFL to actually it's a first round pick, right? It's not like they took a 7th round pick or they fined them $50,000. It's a first round pick. That's pretty impactful. So I had to think that the NFL did find the legitimate reasoning to do so. And, since we got that headline, I haven't seen any retaliation. So I imagine it's true.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to agree with you there. And we'll move on to some Deshawn Watson kind of news, not really news. But essentially the NFL is going to appeal Watson's trial decision. So final determination will go to Roger Goodell or his designee. So we'll have more to report once we find some more information or more solidified news on what Watson's punishment will or will not be. Moving on to August 7th here, the 49ers are in no rush to trade Garoppolo. San Francisco has no clear trade partner for Garoppolo and are willing to wait to cut down day for a move. So it seems like there's no sense of urgency in getting Garoppolo out of San Francisco, and who knows what offers they've received for Garoppolo. So looking ahead here, as Chuck mentioned, our first preseason game on the 13th at Pittsburgh. That's going to be at 4 p.m. and you can watch it on NFL Network. So that about wraps us up here for football.